Code enforcement tells me they can't do anything unless they catch them themselves doing this. And it's Saturday night at 10 something, 11 something in the evening. And there's one or two code enforcement officers. And they don't work on Saturday, nor do they work in the evening. Does that mean that this law, which is very specific about subjecting your neighbors to a certain number of vibrations or a attenuation with pressure for a certain number of intervals of time at any given moment, not to pass a property line, because noise pollution is pollution. It does interfere with one's quiet enjoyment, and to an excess, right? I didn't start recording until it had been going on for an hour. It might have been going on longer. I noticed it an hour ago. Because every night, almost every night, this guy does that. Now I implore City Council to think for one moment. If every single citizen in this city just did what they wanted to do, what if we all had, all at once, 30,000 citizens of Desert Hot Springs started making the equivalent of that kind of ruckus at any given time? It wouldn't stop. I mean, am I missing something? Is this not a residentially zoned area? Because that sure sounds like something OSHA would put a limit on. And it feels like I'm in an industrial zone. And for 5 years, I've pushed back on a lot of people in this area that work on cars all night and run cars all night and play music all night, and after one or two responses, all I would get was an abdication of the responsibility to enforce that law, which is not a good message to send to the citizens of any given city, that our resources and our commitment is such that we'll only enforce laws that are convenient or easy to enforce. Like you came in and gave me 4 days to fix my whole front lawn without a new, 30-day notice or a warning. It was just instantly a problem for me. Same thing with my dog. I had to register him right away. I was going to get charged $200. No problem. I have no problem complying. I want to see our city do well. I want it to be productive. And I don't mind where I'm in error or where I'm faulting to make those corrections. But you cannot fail to hold other people to that same standard because of their unwillingness to cooperate. What does that message send? Obfuscate? Scavlaw, and you become ineffective at upholding the law. So you are really not an authority. Because you should worry about, that's the kind of thing that has a historicity of putting neighbors at odds and causing suffering unnecessarily. And I assure you that a couple of properly motivated individuals who didn't want to deal with that anymore could go make that stop forever, but it would be unlawful. But it would be effective. So why can't you be effectively lawful? Before I bought this house, I lived in a condo in Palm Springs with a homeowners association. And the homeowners association was able to not only charge everybody fees, but enforce all the rules, all of them. I mean, even to a fault, even to the point where they were zealots about it. I don't think I'm asking for that. And it might seem that way because you only consider when I call about make complaints, and not all the times I don't. That's a confirmation bias. And then when I say, when I complain about something like this, it becomes a normalcy bias. Well, it's just a guy running his engine, and then you come up 3 hours later, and he's either gone or he's turning his engine off when he sees you, and all is right in the world. Do you think he doesn't know that it's late at night and he's just letting, he's got a V8 engine that's old and loud and, grotesquely loud, obnoxiously loud? And are we going to pretend that because it's not an A-weighted noise, when you drive by and you don't hear it because of the sound of the vehicle that you're in masks it, or ambient noise masks it, that it still doesn't fall under what has been legislated as problematic, which is not pitch, but pitch, pressure, attenuation, and duration and interval of time? See, that which might not be a problem for a minute here or there, for a day out of a month, the continuation of it must be considered. The ceaseless nature of it, the duration of which all the neighbors are being subjected to. And when I call and you guys, say, well, we've gone out there twice and we don't want to come back out again. I mean, what do you want from us? Is that really the answer you want to give to somebody who's paying the taxes on their property? For you, is it not still your job? Is that not just an admission of failure to actually do what you were supposed to do? I mean, would you say that to somebody who was getting robbed or raped? Hey, man, we can't stop them from raping her, And I realize it's not exactly analogous, right? One's a violent crime, and this is, well, supposedly an infraction. It's actually a misdemeanor. And it actually starts to push towards a felony once you can consider a recklessness, which is when somebody knows that they're bothering other people and they continue to bother them. It doesn't matter what their intention is anymore. Their intention might just be they're just trying to survive. But the reckless nature of the continuation of a certain type of behavior is tantamount to intention. And that if someone has the intention to disrupt or cause or continue to cause someone's suffering, undue suffering, what's ultimately illegal suffering, right? Suffering that I'm only complaining about after being subjected to it I've already long suffered it. Let me put it that way. And then when I call up, often I'm treated like the person complaining is the problem. And my favorite thing is this, when they say, well, no one else is complaining. And I wonder if that's a reflection on evidence that it's not a problem for anybody else, or evidence that everybody else may have already accepted that the police are going to be ineffective at enforcing the law. That it's not a law and meanwhile, the chief of police is talking about more legislation to help him with protecting people from having their catalytic converters stolen. Why would he opt for more? Why should we have Congress make more legislate more laws when there's so many laws in legislation right now that are violated on a daily basis that you could say, well, it's no big deal, but it is. You're wrong to say it's no big deal, because these are the kind of actions that embolden worse behavior and more and more unlawful behavior, inconsiderate behavior, resentment, entitlement, and it begats. One person playing their music all night begats another. One person running there and working on their vehicle all night, pretty soon there's another. I mean, all you got to do is take a good look at Google Maps or Google Earth, and you can see all around here there are people who have a lot of junk going on, like mostly junk cars, like so many that you'd have to wonder, could they be causing a problem for the neighborhood that is a difficult problem to verify upon a complaint because of the nature of it not being a high frequency, or the nature of when people who are scavlovs are aware of the police's presence, they simply tone it down and they wait for you to leave and they tone it back up. And that emboldens them even more. And that makes people less and less feel like people lose more and more confidence in the police's ability to enforce that which shouldn't have to be a law, right? There shouldn't have to be a law to, respect your neighbor's quietude, right? Especially in the middle of the night. And I will grant them, they're not the worst neighbors or anything. They're usually not annoying, but regularly, like almost daily, for hours this goes on. Sometimes, have off-road vehicles that they, just obnoxiously. And I wouldn't dare go ask them again to stop, because their response is truculent, to say the least. It's contrarian. It's adversarial. It's as if they take it like I'm a man telling another man what he can and can't do. And My only assertion is, can you be thoughtful, not just of me as your neighbor, but all the neighbors? I mean, low frequencies and low vibrations are limited in even in industrial zoned areas to how much and how many hours and how many decibels and of what